comfortable doing it. It did exactly what you thought it was going to do. And if you have that moment, even if it's in a demo account, if you just get that one event where I didn't tell you, no one else inspired you to do it, you found it all by yourself, that will be a fact that you'll hold on to. And that would be just enough for you to pursue and keep moving forward. Others may require that same thing, but with a live account. And that's why you foolishly sometimes try to do it with real money. Or you rush to try to get a combine with it. And then try to do the same logic once you get funded, should you get funded, and you either blow it or cause so much damage that it's pointless to consider going forward with it. My son Cameron, as I mentioned, and you probably already seen, Top Step was very forthcoming with sharing what he was able to do. And he's received 2 payouts. He passed 3 of his express, I don't know the exact terms for it, but I think it's express funded account. That is the thing that you get apparently after you pass the challenge or combine, or I don't know if they call it combine, but it's the part where if you win in the trade, you don't have the ability to take the money out. And then when you get into the express, my understanding is you're still not trading with real money, but if you ask for payouts, they will pay out based on what you supposedly made. And again, eventually, if they like you as a trader and you exhibit the things that they want to see, they will fund you. And I just saw 2 of my students literally were tapped on the shoulder by Top Step, and now they're funded traders. So not, from my understanding, I'm not sure if this is accurate. So if I'm not accurate, please forgive me and correct me in response on Twitter. But when they say they're funding them, then now they're in a live account. Real money. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it's the tier above express funded, or what would be considered classically funded, what everybody tries to get to, basically. If you look at the statistics, I'm not sure if Michael Patak or Top Step has made it public what the statistics are in terms of the rate of success for people that try to get funded and get payouts. But if you look at the numbers that some of the other Forex funded account companies, they have been very forthcoming, which I have a great deal of respect for, because they're telling you openly, like, you have next to zero chance of doing this unless you know what you're doing. You're probably going to fail. And when people see those statistics, and I got to be real careful how I say these things, because I don't want to sound like I'm pissing all over them, and I don't want to sound like I'm propping any of them up or representing them. Okay. What my son did was in and of itself, he made the decision to do that. I didn't inspire him to pick any one particular company. He picked Top Step because he saw the ads on YouTube. So that's the one. Like anything else, when you think of something, when you think of a plumbing problem, what do you think of in the United States? Roto-Rooter. Okay, it's the shit, right? Well, I don't use Roto-Rooter, by the way. That's really probably not a good example. But when you think of something, whatever's been advertised and put in front of you, because of what I talked about in the live stream, is priming. Okay, and advertising, the people that put the most money and capital behind their advertising, they're the one that's going to get, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Well, Cameron chose Top Step, not because I said pick this one, because I never would have picked any of them. I wasn't, I wasn't of the opinion that I wouldn't want my son going that route. I was ready to give him money, and he was saying, I don't want to do it that way, Dad. I want to be able to say, I did it. Well, he did it. But his initial soiree with it, where I think he failed, I think he told me 7 times he tried to pass it and failed. Everything wrong that you could possibly do. Over leveraging, trying to trade the maximum, no idea what he was doing. Okay. And then we spent about a month of sitting down with, these are the rules. These are the rules. Okay. You don't have discipline, but the only way you can forge that discipline is by using these fucking rules. Okay. What rules are they? You have to know where you're aiming for. Because if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it. every time. And for some of you, that went right over your head. But you have to have a target. You have to have a target in mind where you're aiming for with price. What is it reaching for? If you can't ascertain that by looking at a chart, you have absolutely no business pushing a button where you incur risk, even if it's demo, because the outcome is going to be detrimental to your development, because you're going to be feeding yourself toxic results that were rooted on no real rhyme or reason or model, but you're going to take it as a kick in the ass. You're going to take it as failure. You're not getting what you want, a dopamine hit. So you're treating it like an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend that were toxic and they just keep calling you and you don't want nothing to do with them. That's eventually what you'll treat business with relationships. That way, you'll have that same thing towards the markets and trading, which is the reason why I talk to you this way. I use analogies so that way you can draw parallels to something that, oh, I understand what that feels like. I don't want that to feel like that when I'm trading. Don't do the shit you're doing. Do the things I'm telling you to do and avoid the things I tell you to avoid. Here's my son. He's wanting to go out there and show me it's just like video games, and he's going to be, Mr. I am having a senior moment. I can't remember the Fortnite. Yeah, he's really, really good at Fortnite, and he's really, really good at Call of Duty. Like, he's fucking badass. Like, he's kicks my ass. He's really, really good, and it's amazing. He thought that was going to be the same thing for him when he got into this. He has that tenacious, like, I'm going to do it, Dad. And if it's hard, I'm going to be that much more inspired to do it. But then when he got his ass beat trying to do the combines and failed the 7 times or so that he did it, I watched him. He was sulking. He's just like, you could see it in his face. He wasn't walking around with his shoulders back like he always was. He's, the typical 18-year-old boy, right? That knows everything. And I told him, I said, look, here's the rules. You have to aim for an hourly or a 15-minute high. Which one's you going to reach for? The obvious one that it's trying to get to. That's all you need. That's all you need, man. That's all you need. And then when you know that, you drop down to a 1 or 5 minute chart and you wait for a 1 or 5 minute stop hunt that's against that draw on liquidity. So if you're thinking it's going to go up, you wait for a swing low to be taken out on a 1 or 5 minute chart. As soon as it does that on that time frame, you have to wait for, if it's a swing low that it takes out, you have to wait for an up close candle to form immediately after that swing low is taken out. As soon as that happens, then immediately you drop down to a 30-second chart and you buy the first fair value gap. That's easy shit, man. That's easy. There's simple parameters to that. It's based on the market's going to gravitate to that higher time frame draw. You just had a stop hunt on a lower time frame. So there should be what? A displacement going towards the next opposing liquidity. That's higher time frame than the one you're entering on, which is 30 seconds, right? Just drop my laptop here. Hold on 1 second. I only have one laptop, by the way. These fucking people talking about I got all these laptops. I got one. All right, so the model had rules. You have to do this, do this, do this. And once you have it, whatever your winning trade is, whatever it is, you eat it, you take it home, and that's what it is. Do not re-enter. Well, what is he lacking? Discipline. How does he forge it? Doing it. Doing it and then not doing it and failing and getting the repercussions of it. Okay? That's progress. What happens if he takes a losing trade? He stops. But what if he sees another setup? He can't take it. What does he lack? Discipline. So when he tries to do a second trade and he makes money on it, what does he hear from me? Why are you doing that? But Dad, look what I mean. Why did you not listen?
Need more time? Funded Next understands. That's why we offer a 14-day extension on our evaluation.
Order block or fair value gap? Which one is the best entry for smart money traders? The answer to this question largely depends on the asset you're trading and what works best for you. However, today, we'll share some valuable insights into both entry types that can be a big help. In this video, we'll start by explaining the concepts of fair value gaps and order blocks in detail. We'll cover the rules for identifying valid high-probability order blocks in FVGs, discuss their trading strategies, and finally, share our personal choice and the psychology behind it. So guys, if that sounds interesting, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. See you after the intro and disclaimer. Here we have a bearish market structure. A significant imbalance between buyers and sellers in the most recent impulse caused this rapid downward push. This supply-demand imbalance can be identified by the formation of fair value gaps, a void between the wicks of 3 consecutive candles. Now, the price is sell-side inefficient, making it more likely to return to the gap area to fill it and rebalance the market. Fair value gap areas can come in different sizes and numbers within a single price movement. Each gap needs a different approach, as we try to enter the market with a specific strategy. For example, in one case, we might see a small fair value gap near a swing low. By setting our entry at this FVG zone and placing our stop below the swing low, we get a good risk-to-reward ratio, with the target set at the close of these candles. This creates an ideal trading setup. Our stop loss is safely placed below the swing low, and our target is the recent high, which has a good chance of being reached even if the price starts to reverse. In the second example, we have a much larger fair value gap zone. If we enter at the start of this zone, we're likely to get stopped out. Even if we enter in the middle of the zone, the risk-to-reward ratio still isn't favorable. We always want to take trades that offer a risk-to-reward ratio of more than 1 to 1. So how should we approach the market in this case? For larger trading zones, we wait for the price to enter the zone and then zoom into lower time frames to find better entry points at a more favorable price. When looking at the lower time frames, you'll likely see a correction as a downtrend. In this case, we wait for the price to show signs of reversal before taking the trade. In the final example, we have multiple fair value gaps within a single impulsive move. The question is, which fair value gap should we choose? The idea is to wait for the price to enter these zones and look for buying opportunities. However, we're only interested in these 2 areas here. Why aren't we interested in the first zone here? If we consider the start and end of the latest impulsive move here and apply the retracement tool, we see that these 2 areas are below the 50% level, which is the discount zone, while this FVG here is above the 50% level, which is the premium side of the range. We're only interested in buying in the discount zone for several reasons. One key reason is that the market tends to take out early buyers. A more conservative approach here is to wait for the price to enter the discount zone before entering the trade. This increases the chances of success and reduces the risk of being caught in a liquidity grab.
The whole point of this is for you to forge what? Discipline, following a model, because that will yield you the results. You coloring outside the lines is not you following the rules. The wins that you make outside of your model are not to be celebrated. That's you cheating on your wife and getting away with it. That doesn't mean keep doing it, or it's good because her feelings didn't get hurt, or vice versa. I'm giving you an extreme that maybe it doesn't fit you in a sense of an analogy, but in my mind, you are cheating on the model. You're not giving it time, energy, focus that it requires, that it deserves. I took the time to sit down and write this model up. Gave him the rule-based ideas that he has to follow. Any deviations outside of that, if it's a win, I don't give a fuck about that win. That doesn't matter. That is a losing trade to me. It doesn't mean shit to me. How can you measure that? That's not part of the equation here. It's outside of the logic. So you can't champion it. You can't give it its props and say, yeah, look at this. Who gives a shit about that? And that's what some of you might be doing in your early stages of your progress. You're doing things outside of a model. And when you win, it's gain, it's profit. I feel good. Yeah, woo, this is what I want to do. And to make it feel better, because even though I know I feel a little guilty about it because I didn't really know what the hell I was doing and it worked for me, I'm going to share it on social media. Because if I get some likes, that dopamine hit will overcompensate for the fucking things I'm feeling that are rooted in guilt and reality, that it wasn't really rooted on any logic or model. It just happened to work out that time. So the facts are, my son beat the statistics. He went out there and not only did he get on the other side of those 7 losing attempts to try to get a funded account, he went out there and got 3 of them all at one time. He used all 3 of them at the same time and then passed them all. Then told me, he said, I want to use one of them and just try to see if I can do what you're saying. Ultimately, he showed progress. He had days where he did what he was supposed to do, but didn't do it all the time. And eventually it caught up with him. And on Friday, he burned the last $800. And his logic was, I don't care because I'm going to start a new one. And I didn't do what I was supposed to do with this one. So I got 2 payouts. I took something from it, an experience, and I got paid. So I look at it as it's a win-win for me, Dad. And I'm like, well, I guess that's a good way of looking at it. But if you don't take what you learned from this one, it's going to repeat itself in the second one and the third one. And then if you blow them, guess what you have to do? You have to start a new one or do something else. So what's your plan? Because I want to trade with 1 micro contract like you were telling me to do in the beginning. I wish I would have listened to that, but another way, I like the fact that I did what I did because I made $1,540. I got 2 payouts and I did it all in 1 month. And for me, it feels great. And I'm like, I'm proud of you. In that regard, I'm proud. I'm proud that you now are inspired to do it. So the facts are, he has now been bitten legitimately. He'll never not trade now. he'll never not want to do this. And that's what I want. I want all my kids to have that. Now, is $1,540 a lot of money? Fuck no, it's not a lot of money. Literally, it's not. I spent more than that at Target last night buying shit that my wife doesn't need. So the point is, the $1,540 is literally nothing. But from my perspective as his dad, I see him doing something that I want all my kids to do. What I've spent my entire life in pursuit and perfecting, he did it. He canceled all the bullshit that people say that this stuff doesn't work. That you have to have an overcomplicated approach that doesn't have any statistical probability, and you lose money trading on ICT smart money concepts. My 18-year-old son went out there and literally on his own effort did everything. His own money from his coffee shop job, went down to negative balance, paying for him in between his paychecks. I did not give him any money. I would not pay him for it. And Michael from Stop Step or Top Step, if you would listen, it's not a knock against you. It would have been any other company. I would not give him money to do that. I would love for him to prove for at least 6 months that he's consistently profitable using a demo account. I would have put $50,000 in an account. Real money. I would have done it. No problem. Not even batting an eye, worrying about it. That's the route I was going to go. But he had to prove to me. But he wants to go out there and do prove it to the world type shit. Vigilante mentor son. Okay. I mean, he's got it in his head. He wants to do that kind of stuff, which is, I guess, if that's what you need for motivation, whatever. But now he's motivated by something else. So the facts are, he doesn't want to worry about what other people think anymore. He wants to get better at what he's doing. He goes, now that I know I can do this and I can see where I messed up, in the days that I went back in when I had already made money, like, for instance, he had 13 days of consistently winning. He had it up $180 that day. He said, I just wanted to get it to 200. That's all I wanted to do, is just to bump it to 200. $20, Dad. I was like, I'm not laughing at you, son, to make fun of you, but I can't tell you how many times over my career when I was trying to just get to that target for the day, and then Murphy's Law comes in. Whatever can happen wrong, it will. Okay, that's exactly what happens. And that small, little, tiny $20 target turns you into a losing day. And if you're weak, if you're not disciplined, that losing trade and that losing day turns into a blown account. And that's exactly what he did. He went to a max loss day, over $20. Son, that is not failure. That's what everybody goes through. That's part of it. That's a growing pain. Every trader, every single fucking trader, male, woman, child, whatever, is human. They're going to do things that they know they're not supposed to do. Okay? As a trader, we know we shouldn't push the envelope. And we know, and he knew at the same time because he admitted it. He goes, I knew it's not a big deal, but I just wanted to get there. I wanted to get that $200 mark. Because every day he was striving to get $200 or more. And he was doing it day after day after day after day. But I told him, and I even tweeted 2 days before he did this, this is the time when you stop. You stop, sit still, let the advancement, experience, the progress, the money that you've earned, let it find its way in you and relish it. Just really enjoy the fact that you did it. Let there be time between you hitting that $3,000 mark that was your goal. That's great. You got paid out $740. It was more money than he earns after taxes at his job. He's proven that he can do it. It can be done. He was following the model. But when the small little trivial things come in, these little tiny little, it's not enough. When you're on social media, you give it to the social media assholes. Feed the trolls, give attention to people, make it available, invite other people to give you their advice or criticism. There always going to be some guy, I read it this morning, I almost went off on him. Tell me your son should have made more money than that. Get the fuck out of here. My fucking son next year is going to make your whole fucking lifetime of fucking money. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Okay. Believe me, I'm giving him Enigma. Okay. I'm giving it to him. I'm literally going to turn him into a fucking rock star. This motherfucker is going to be absolutely insane. Okay. He's showing me that he wants to do it now. That's all I needed. That's all I fucking needed. And now I have it. He's tasted it on his own effort with the least of what I have. The least of what I have. I'm giving him the whole fucking shebang, the whole fucking arsenal. I'm giving him everything. You will know this motherfucker. You will know his name and he will be recognized. The beast will be unleashed. He wants to walk that walk. I'm going to give him every fucking weapon. tell me what my fucking son should have made. He's 18, 1 month experience. Beat the statistics in the prop firm industry. 2 payouts, 3 combines passed, 12 days consecutively winning. Had the 13th day in his pocket. If I would have told him that the rate or the high end was the 14-day watermark, that was the high end that Top Step said since they started doing their live streams. No one had done it in more than 14 days. Now, I'm sure there was probably more people prior to that. Matter of fact, there was a guy that they were making a record of that he had a really good strike rate, but was it every single day? I don't know. I don't recall it that much, but he had 13 days. And if I would have told him the 14th day, if you just do that and go 1 day past it, you beat it. Like that, you know, if you want to have challenges or whatever, treat it like a video game, like Fortnite challenge or Call of Duty challenge, or whatever. he could have done it. I guarantee he would have stopped at that 180 because it would have nailed it. Because when he told me he was at 180, he sent me a tweet and said, or not tweet, text, said, "Dad, I'm at 180." And I'm thinking he's in a trade, he's watching it flash. I just, here's a smiley face back to you. I'm not trying to control his trades. He needs to do this on his own. And when he wins, he's earned it. When he's lost, he eats it. That's the facts. Some of you don't want it that way, but that's the way it needs to be. So in a way, I kind of woke up this morning pissed off, thinking about how I wish I would have told him, just get 15 days. If you do 15 days, you basically smashed everything then. It doesn't matter how much money you made. It doesn't make any difference because you chose the smallest of the challenges. You had a $50,000 account with only $2,000 drawdown. And you had stats that were highly respectable, an equity curve that every guy wants out there. That motherfucker looked like Viagra. It was beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect. Stair-stepping each day. That's exactly what I want to see you trading like. Just like that. Not vertical fucking like the backslash on a keyboard. That's my equity curve. If I want to go out there and show you equity curve, that's what mine's going to look like. And you won't believe it. And people be still talking about dumb shit. But as a brand new 1 month trader, 18 years old, no fucking experience, and just lost 7 combines trying to do it with no idea what he's doing, guess what, Joker? He's done amazingly well. And the experience he's gotten from this is going to serve him exceedingly well. Now he knows this is the tendency I feel when I feel this way. This is what I've done in the past, and this was the adverse result. So therefore, I now have a reason to be apprehensive about doing that impulsive desire. Is it inside my model? Is it inside my process, my protocol? What it is I'm doing in trading? Does it fit what it is I try to do as a trader? Does it fit my risk model? Am I allowed to trade that? I've already taken a trade, and even though it didn't hit what I want to trade and reach for the day, the trade is closed. The rules are you stop. You get the fuck out of there. Close the market down, done. You can't look at it no more. Go put your phone in the fucking car so that way you won't be touching it while you're at work. Remember, he's doing this while he's working. Add that. Add that to all this shit. He's doing it on a fucking phone. Come on a new job. On a new job, a new learning, he's trying to do HVAC. Wants to learn how to do it so he can open his own business doing it. I love it. And he did all that at the same time. So I'm trying to tell you, if he can do it that way, with no extra help from me, there was nothing extra given to him. Nothing. If he can do that, why are you doubting yourself? Why are you not willing to sit down and put yourself through the same process? You don't have to do a funded account challenge. You don't have to get funded. Just do it with your demo. Stick to, I already gave you the rest of the year to challenge yourself. Stick to that model. Try to just do that. He aims for 12 to 15 handles. If he can get it, great. And then he wanted to bump up to 20. After a week of that, we were going to do 25. Week after that, we were going to look for 30. Week after that, 35. The goal was to get into 50. and then plateau there for the rest of the year. Just try for that. His inexperience, the least of room that you could ever possibly have is when you take the money out, they put your trailing stop loss thing, whatever it is, I think max loss day, something like that. When they stop you from trading for the day, all that changes to, whatever you got left, basically. And when he took the second payout, his thought process was this, that I could take more trades with $1,600 in the account left. But what happens if I don't do what I'm supposed to do? I already know it's a likelihood. So it's better for me to take $800 and then do whatever I want to do with the $800 that's left. I got 2 payouts. To me, $1,500 is a lot. And I did 2 of them. And it feels good to do that. So that way it removes any emotions that I have on that last $800 because I know I'm gonna open up the 2 remaining funded accounts that he has that hasn't executed them or what do you call it, activated them. That's what he intends to do. So he'll have 2 new ones that he already earned. He didn't work for them now because he lost this one. They're in his pocket. He didn't do a linking of all 3 of them and compound his losses. He made an attempt to go, okay, I'm going to do this. He put thought behind it, which I'm proud of. I'm glad to see him do that. Even though he got paid out twice, he burned it. He has 2 that he can now resume with. He's been paid, so the activation fees he has to pay on them, still he's profitable. Everybody else that tries to do these things can't say that much. That's the facts. So when the facts speak for themselves, that yes, this stuff works. Yes, you can be young and inexperienced and still have a very simple model, but do you have discipline to follow it? Do you have the discipline to do what it is you're supposed to do and stop when you're supposed to stop? They bumped him up to 5 contracts. You can now trade 5 contracts. And that's what he fell victim to when he was doing his combines. He was trying to do the $150,000 account, and he was trading with 15 contracts because it says you can trade up to 15 contracts. He didn't do the math. He didn't think about it. He didn't know with experience the normal volatility of NASDAQ. It can flutter around in seconds, 10, 15 handles, and be nowhere still. You can't be trading with 15 fucking contracts, okay? You can't do that. $300 per point or handle in a market that can fluctuate just in static noise, okay? And I said that when it's just gyrating normally in a 1-minute candle, it can flutter around and you can be up or down thousands of dollars. When you don't have any experience or the grasp of money, the value of money, he was just discovering it as an employee at a coffee shop. Prior to that, any money he ever had was given to him at Christmas or a birthday. See, he doesn't have any real tangible clue what the value of money is. He was earning that and learning it. And when you put him into a situation and put yourself in a situation like this, where you have the ability to see, wow, if I close the trade at that moment, I can be up $1,000. I can be up $5,000 in less than 5 minutes. What's he going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to try to do that every single time. They get you. That's how this industry gets you. That's how your broker gets you. And I'm trying to be the voice of reason and say, okay, there's a day and a time for you to be making $5,000 in trades. There is. It's just not today. You need to be comfortable and humble in the beginning, trading with 1 micro lot, trying to get those 10 handles, graduate to 15 handles, Can you get 20? Can you consistently do 20? Each day, can you do 20 handles? If you can do that, all you're doing then is then getting accustomed to now trading with 2 micros. That's $10 per point if it's an ES, or $4 if it's a NASDAQ. But I can't get rich that way. Who the fuck says you can't get rich? Who said that? You just did. Nobody else told you that. You got in your head that you need to be rich overnight, and nobody's doing that in trading anyway. Why the hell you think you're going to be the one that's going to do it? Listen, all the Lambos, all the Lexus, Mercedes Benz, the bullshit Audis, all that stuff, you can lease them for pennies on the fucking dollar and have a write-off. Okay? All that stuff is easily obtained. You don't need to have that to encourage you as a trader to get the attention of other people. Oh, you're a trader. Look at that. Look, you're driving a leased vehicle. And there's no knock against a lease. When I was running the mentorship, my Corvettes were being, well, let me put it this way. The 2019 was a lease. When I finished the lease, I paid it out and I own it. That's why it's still here. I got it in 2018. Guess what, folks? If it was a lease, it would have already been turned in, and it's still here with me. I own all my cars. But that lease allowed me to write off $1,300. 100% write-off. You as an employee of whatever company you work for, your car payment, your car note, you have to eat that. That's not a write-off for you. It's what you do with your money. How are you financially literate? He's illiterate. He's learning literacy, okay, with money. He's learning it. My son will be making lots of money. My son will be a multi-fucking millionaire from his own trading. So don't give me your fucking report cards of what he should be doing or what he should have done in one fucking month. Okay? 1 month, he's already kicked the shit out of the statistics in the prop firm industry. He literally beat its fucking ass. I'm sorry, that's not what this Twitter space is about, but it got under my skin. Like, who the fuck are you to even comment on my son? But nonetheless, when you do the things I'm telling you to do, and you subscribe to the mindset I'm trying to cultivate in you, okay? Outwardly, if you're first time coming to a live event here and you're listening to me, it sounds abrasive. It sounds toxic. It sounds toxic masculinity. I don't wear a MAGA hat, okay? I didn't vote for Trump, in case you were wondering. But I do believe in the Constitution, and anything that goes on right now today that's not Constitution, I think should be abolished and the people should be taken out of office. And that's the extent of that. I put that in there because I know some of you are probably wondering, where do I stand, and all that shit. I don't want to have a political slant when I'm talking to you, but the facts are this: when you submit yourself to a rule-based idea, you now have a petri dish that you've placed yourself in. And it's a controlled environment that you're willingly placing yourself in. You can walk out of it anytime you want, but to do so exhibits what? A lack of discipline. The whole point is for you to develop discipline. How do you do that? By placing yourself in a rule-based, controlled environment. You can only do this, you can never do this, and you can only do it this time and never that time. You can only look at this market. You can only do this in price when it does this. You cannot do anything else. Once you press the button one time, when you get out of that trade, whether it's good or bad, you cannot press that button again until another 24 hours have passed. So, do you have the discipline to do that? My question today is, do you have that discipline to do that for at least 20 trading days? Some of you can't even do it one. And I know I was like that. I know exactly what that feels like. It feels like I could be doing so much. This is so counterproductive. This is counterintuitive. I should be doing it. No. You want to learn how to make money. You want to learn how to trade. You want to learn how to trade consistently. You want to be able to control your emotions, control fear, greed, FOMO, all that stuff. All those things. You're worried about all those things. And I'm telling you how to defeat all that stuff right here. My son encountered all that stuff. He saw what it looks like to have money flashing in those trades. And he didn't close him when he felt like he should have. Greed was touching him and saying, you're on a roll, boy. Push your edge. You know it's going to go right up there. You know it's going to go down there. And if it does, you're going to make $1,000. Your dad's going to be so proud of you. He's going to put your ass on Twitter. You're going to be on blast. Imagine how good that's going to feel. And $1,000. It's $1,000. Don't you want to make that $1,000? Come on. Hold it a little bit longer. Yeah. The rules say to close it right here. But take the limit order off. Take it off. You don't need that. It's holding you back. It's holding you back. Go a little bit further, just a little bit further down the road. That's where the better destination is. That's where all the cool cats hang out. There it is. It's over. Shit the bed. Trade turnaround, reversed on him, and become a losing trade. How many times you been there? How many times have you heard that voice whispering in your ear? Shh, don't close it. Don't do it. Don't close the trade. Go for more. Yeah, you didn't think about that before you put the trade on, but look, you're smarter now. You're in the trade. Yeah, you're smart now, aren't you? The only thing smarting is your ass. It hurts something. The facts are, you have to submit yourself to a whole lot of uncomfortable things, and you have to defer gratification. And that's what makes this hard. It makes it so hard because you want to have something to hold your hat on, to cling to as a reason to keep going. Okay. And the fact that you're progressing and doing things in a controlled environment, and you're not losing the discipline, you're not doing things recklessly, you're not demanding it to do more than you want it to do, and being content with that, that is progress. That is immaculate. That is impeccable. That is the cream of the crop type of progress that you want to hold on to throughout your entire career. Because number one, it's realistic. It's required to be having any longevity in this industry. You have to be absolutely dialed in and filtering out all these intrusive thoughts of doing things that's outside your model, and not allowing for circumstances that are outside of your model to yield a profit that you can't boast about, that you can't champion. You can't parade around and say, look what I did. Like Tom Hanks in the movie Outcast, where he gets up there and he makes fire for the first time and he starts beating his chest. Look at me. I made fire. Ooh, you know, funny scene, great scene. But that's exactly what it feels like when you make money and you don't know what the fuck you did it for. Like, how'd you do that? I don't know, but it's burning. It's fire. It's lit. You're going to look for anything to make yourself feel good about that thing. But when you take a step back and think about what you did to get there, how did it happen? I can't replicate that. So therefore, why are you bragging about it? Tell nobody you did it, and tell yourself in your journal, this doesn't count. I should not be doing these things, and I'm going to refrain from doing it. That's not beating yourself up. That's scolding yourself without having any negative connotations added to it. Very, very critical. You're going to do it, folks. It's human nature. We're going to do it. I am a very monogamous man. Okay. I've never went out on my wife. I would never do that. Okay. I am a man true and true. I literally can appreciate a very attractive woman. And truth be told, she's caught my eye wandering into the southern hemisphere of a woman that may be attractive that walks by. I'm not looking at it and oogling over her, but it's just the way it is. A dog's a dog, right? It doesn't mean I'm going to go after her. It doesn't mean I'm going to pursue it. It doesn't mean I'm going to give her the time of day, or even that it would be warranted to do that. But she'll look at me, she'll smile, I saw that. And I'm like, it is what it is, right? I mean, by nature, we're going to do it. Until I get out of this flesh, I'm going to sin. Okay? It doesn't mean because I believe in Christ, it doesn't mean that I am a Christian. That doesn't mean I'm walking on water and I'm holier than thou. It just means that I have a Redeemer and I have someone I can ask to forgive me when I make those mistakes and sin. Until I leave this body, I'm going to make mistakes. And as a trader, you are going to do things that you know you shouldn't do or regret that you did it. And experience will teach you don't do that again. Those are the two transactions that you have to submit to and accept the consequences of it. And you can look at them and say, this is enough for me to never want to do it again. And some do that. Smarter people do that. If they know they will never be able to wrestle themselves into submission and build and forge discipline, the best thing you can do is stop and never do it again. Limit your losses to that and just say, you know what? I tried. I learned a lot about myself. I don't have the discipline to do that. And if I kept doing it, I would lose more money. That is a win. That is someone that is mature and they understand their limitations as a human being. And they said, this is not for me. There it is. It's done. I'm going to go do something else with my life. And guess what? Life will still continue. It ain't going to, it's not going to put you in the grave. You can't do this. That's one thing. But as traders, we can't imagine doing anything but this for the rest of our life. And for some of you to have that feeling right now and you haven't found profitability yet or consistency, you've already subscribed to that. That's your lifestyle now. You're always going to be doing that. You can't imagine yourself never doing this, or not doing it rather. That's a characteristic. That's a trait in a trader that needs to be there. If you can't imagine a time when you're not doing this inside of you, that's the person I'm trying to help you cultivate. That's the trader in you. That's the person that is trying to grow. And many of you are stifling that growth. You're choking it. You're smothering it by constantly feeding toxicity to it, worrying about stuff that doesn't help that person in you as a trader grow. You're holding that person back. And it's a perfect excuse why you failed, because you're doing it to yourself. Deep down inside, you don't believe you deserve to be successful. And that's an unfortunate thing. And I had a Twitter space, not a Twitter space, but I did a SoundCloud about that. Are you deserving? Because honestly, I didn't feel like I deserved it when I was a younger man. I certainly didn't feel like I earned any right to having this ability. While I wanted to have a better than average lifestyle, I didn't see this type of lifestyle as the goal. I just wanted to not have to earn my job income on a week by week basis working for somebody else once I turned 40. That was my goal. I grew up in a very humble environment where my grandfather made $300 a week as a person working in a lumber yard in Essex. He worked a forklift and stacked lumber all day. That's what he did. Nobody made a whole lot of money, and where we lived, it was literally called Cardboard City. And it's hard to have a perspective about being rich when you come from that, when nobody else around you had that kind of money. My whole area in Middle River was all low income. Many of the people around there, and my mother was one of them, we were on subsidies. We had food stamps. We had all that stuff. And when you live like that, it's real hard to open and broaden your mindset to living an affluent lifestyle. That is what people that are movie stars live. And that was my understanding as a little boy. Only movie stars can live like that. So I'm not a movie star, so I can't accept that. I can't see that happening. But I knew, and I know still to this day that I was built differently. And I was not meant to be a slave. I was not meant to be prostituted, have my time paid for at an undervalued rate. And everybody that has a job has accepted that. I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care how much you earn. You can call yourself a professional. You could be a highly productive person in your field. You're still prostituting your time. You're allowing someone else to put a value that they have capped. This is the most you're worth to me. And you better show up on time, motherfucker, or you're gone. That's how I see a job. That's how I see it. And that may not be what you see. You may see something entirely different. You may be, you're blessed, you have a job and blah, blah. And I guess in a lot of ways you are, because everybody needs to have it in the beginning. But to live there and spend your entire existence in that, that's not me. And I don't want my sons and my daughter to have that. But they choose the path that they're in, because I can't make them a trader unless they want to be a trader. Enigma requires effort. You have to think about things, and you have to be disciplined, and you have to follow specific things, or you'll lose money too. It's not an automated thing. It's not something that's going to just automatically, autonomously put you in, and you don't have to do any thinking at all. but they had to have a baseline. And the only one of my kids that had the closest thing to it now is Cameron. Caleb changes all the time. He wants to do swing trading. He wants to do day trading. He wants to be position trading. He's still finding himself. Cameron literally walked out there and proved it. Proved it to me that he has it in him. Proved it to me that, you know, the information is transferable and that my concepts in the hands of a neophyte, no experience, reckless abandonment, not giving a shit what anybody thinks about him, just going out there and just doing it. And, you know, it is what it is. He did 2 times what most people can't get one of. He did 3 times what most people can't get one of. And he did it in 1 month after failing 7 times. I think that's an interesting number. Completion. So you can look at your progress and look for all these things to nitpick and be argumentative and condescending to yourself. Say, oh, well, this is not good enough. Or you can say, you know what? I know more this week, more than I did last week. I didn't crash and burn on this day, on this time. I didn't do that foolish thing that I felt impulsively that I wanted to do. Whereas 3 weeks ago, I would have. Are you willing to trade with less margin all the way down to 1 micro contract? If it meant that you're going to fix all the problems that you're fearful of and you're spending so much time and energy worrying about right now. What if I can't do it? What if I blow my account? What if I fail this challenge? What if I lose my funded account? What if I do this? What if you do what I'm asking you to do, which costs nothing? Trade in your demo with 1 micro lot. Aim for consistency with 10 points. Look and see what it feels like to be with those trades and how little that amount of money is. And condition yourself to see the point values. And then when you get real comfortable with that and you can do it consistently, up it up to 1. I'm sorry, 1 more. So now you're trading with 2. And when you get comfortable with that, go up to 3. All the way up to 10, which is a standard mini lot. Once you do that, cycle all the way back down to 1 micro lot. And now try to do it for 15 points. When you can do that consistently, go up to 2 micro contracts and aim for that same 15. What are you doing? You're doing reps. You're doing sets and you're doing reps. You're conditioning yourself because none of you are ready to be trading with $300 for fucking point. Okay. I don't give a fuck if it's a combine challenge, whatever. $300 per point, folks. That is size in a market that moves. And when you have no experience and you're limiting it to just, I hope it works out for me, that is not sound logic. That is not what traders do. That's what gamblers do. You're gambling. And I'm sorry if you want to resist that definition and call it something other than what it is, but that's absolutely what it is. And that's going to hold you hostage, and you'll never be able to hold those long winning big runners for the day because you're worried about that big win dissolving down into a loss or a smaller win instead of submitting to the idea that the trade is really designed to go here. And it doesn't matter how much I have. I've traded what I could afford. I traded where my sweet spot in equity is. You might discover, no matter how much money you earn, I have students that made very, very huge runs in their equity. Big fucking money. End of working kind of money. Okay. And they won't trade more than 10 contracts, no matter what. They can do a whole lot more. But why won't they go more than 10? Because they don't like how they feel about the trades when they're trading with more than that. That's maturity. That's a disciplined mindset that has went through the processes I'm telling you to do. They went through it meticulously. They submitted themselves to it, and they discovered that little sweet spot where you might only be a 3 contract trader and you are fucking phenomenal as a 3 contract trader. beat the brakes off of everybody else that's trying to trade with 15 contracts. Not that you should be comparing and contrasting, but there are levels to this stuff that none of you are considering that are going to be highly impactful to you as the trader and how you think. Just because it's available, just because me or someone else that might be a student of mine or someone else that doesn't even trade like us is trading with whatever a fuck amount it is, has this much in funding, has this much in payouts. Who gives a flying fuck? You can't spend their money. You're not driving their cars. You're not sleeping in their fucking house. They're not going to do anything for you. They're not going to pay your fucking bills. So you got to find your own way in this. They found their own way and they're comfortable doing what they're doing. If it's, gambling out of their fucking mind and doing high risk all the time, and they're comfortable with that, guess what? There are professional poker players that do that and they make their living doing it. Are you a professional fucking poker player? Are you on that fucking final table every fucking year? No. So stop trying to do that stuff in trading. You want it to be steady Eddie, stuff that just is going to happen and you can trust it and work towards that each day. You train yourself and you condition yourself, do those things in mind. And the facts will speak for themselves. Progress will be measurable. It's not going to be overnight, and it shouldn't be overnight. You can't get comfortable doing things like this that are highly technical, highly dependent on a mindset that is fortified in something that you believe in, that you know will continue. The people that are asking me, is this going to stop working? You're never going to be a trader. You're never going to amount to shit as a trader. As long as you start worrying about those types of things, you're looking for excuses why not to do it. That's what you're really asking me. You're asking me to give you permission to say, don't try. Think about it. This is a lot of work. Yeah, I can make a lot of money, but it's a lot of videos to study. It's a lot of things to do. He's asking me to do a lot of stuff, man. I really like my personal time. And all the TV shows and streaming apps that I have, I watch too much fucking stuff to put this in there. I have no time for this. What's the chances of us not working if all these people start doing ICT? Is this going to stop working? Are they going to change the algorithm? Yeah, they are. They're going to stop it. They're going to change it right now. Don't bother. Go back to watching fucking, Family fucking Feud. Okay, go ahead. Just go back to doing that. Go watch your television. Go listen to the fucking news. Go do whatever you want to do. Waste your time doing other things because this isn't going to be profitable for you. As I saved you a whole lot of time and money. Done. But some of you know better than that. And that's who my audience is. So hopefully you found some insight this week with me and learned some things and found some encouragement. I'm going to encourage you to have a very pleasant and relaxing weekend. I'm going to do the same thing now, likewise. And Lord willing, I will talk to you on Monday. Until then, be safe.
Here we go, Saturday morning. Trader Roundup, everybody. It's your boy Kit, hanging out, aka ICT Concepts, aka DRX ICT, aka that motherfucker. How you doing, everybody? It's Saturday morning, and we are here. I think maybe anxiously awaiting an opportunity to hang out with the man himself. Not sure if he was going to start a space. I was going to start a space. I've been up anxiously waiting. I've been hanging out with my boy Twist. A little 1v1 conversation. Just going over some, ICT stuff, some DR stuff, and, how we trade, how we look for levels. I want to take the time quickly, and I want you guys to go back. I'm actually going to get it uploaded onto my YouTube channel, but I want you to go back and listen to the weekly review I gave last 6 days ago now of where I wanted to see price go. Called the lows and the high of the week before it fucking happened. So feeling blessed seeing the charts the way that I do, as ICT refers to it as an increase, and just lots of clarity. And to me, what's probably the most interesting within that clarity and what I believe are advanced concepts within trading are knowing when not to trade. I think knowing when to let price do whatever it's going to do is a huge, huge deal. And if you didn't get a part of London, and London makes this massive, expansive move, and you turn around and walk into New York, and you think it's not going to be some wiki hell for the first hour, I mean, you got to know if there's been a big move coming out of a previous session that we're going to open up and consolidate, and that you don't want to be any part of that. And oftentimes you just got to let news be news and play itself out, and then mark that candle and mark those levels and mark those ranges and patiently wait. And some days you just got to be like, I'm not going to engage with price today. You got to know if you woke up. I call it waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Some days I just wake up, had a bad dream. The ex-old lady somehow was in my head. And I'm like, today's not going to be a good day to trade. And you got to listen to that gut feeling, and you got to know. So we're here kind of hanging out, looking to see if the man himself chooses to join in to the conversation, hang out. Bring up a few folks in the meantime. Mads, I see her. Would love to hear from her. The mama. Stoic. Noam Boosie. Gordo. I'm throwing some invites to you guys. But if and when the man does show up, we'll probably see and calibrate the topic with him of if he's got anything anticipated or planned that he wanted to talk about, or if we're just going to kind of hang out. But, I mean, we are a community of traders, so it's good to just kind of chat about the week, see how it went. Algerian trader, love to hear from him. Mads, you disappeared. Where'd you go? Yuri, come on up here, bro. I mean, you're trading your lights. You're trading your damn balls off. And I think you drop a lot of alpha. So, Gordo, I'm looking to have a little bit more of a conversation. I mean, I don't like it just being about what I got to say, although I got plenty to say. Don't get me wrong. high time frame analysis for trading and charts are it. We could talk about that all day. But I'm going to constantly be scrolling and see who we got here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 invites out to folks right now. If you would like to come up, if you've got something to say, talk about your week, talk about really anything. Dominic, bro.
What's up, kid?
Bro, I love seeing the pictures of your little angels, bro.
Nah, your post was beautiful, man. Got me thinking. So, yeah, it was a tough week, but I saw all the red folders and was kind of planning on just taking a week off. It's probably been a year and a half since, like, I went a week without trading something. If I wasn't, putting $100 on Bing X or working on a funded account or doing something. And so I needed a break. Plus, man, I just got a quick update for you. It was a crazy week, dude. So I mentioned about a month ago, I had a court date coming up. This was just child support, right? And it was on Tuesday. And I was going in there expecting a reduction. I paid $21.87 a month, and DCSC sent me something in the mail this summer, so I should be around $680. So I'm like, this is great, man, because they're taking all my money, man, making it pretty tough. And fair is fair. The math is the math. The kids are older; they don't go to daycare anymore. So I go in there Tuesday morning, and dude, it makes all the difference in the world having an attorney there. Hers I still pay for, but they locked me the fuck up, dude. My ex had been listening to these spaces.
What?
Oh, dude, yeah, she's been hearing it all, buddy, and stalking my my Twitter account. So like my little $850 payout that I was so proud of. Laura's talking all about that. I'm gambling. Yeah, I'm just a degenerate fucking gambler. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to acquire a goddamn skill that can change all of our lives here. But so anyways, man, yeah, locked me up, $5,700 purge bond, or is it 12-month sentence? And I got a $120,000 a year job that just got, like I'm coming up on my 90 days. I told the judge, look, I'm about to get my $4,500 sign-on bonus here in like 2 weeks. I will do a lifetime of weekends if you don't make me lose my job by locking me up today. Wasn't enough, man. I mean, I've been paying my child support through wage withholding every week. You know what I mean? Since June.
Oh my God, dude. That's the most depressing fucking thing I've heard.
Oh, no.
So what happened?
Well, fortunately, and I'll tell you, man, I'm 44 years old. I am well too old to be calling my mother from a jail. You know what I mean? Or be asking her to bail me out of shit. But the way the judge wrote it, man, was a $5,000 purge bond to DCSE, which, again, thankfully, my mother has the resources where, she's taken care of. She's an extremely intelligent woman, man. And she's been, banking, loan officer and everything her whole life. And, it's, a huge benefit to a lot of people in my life, always helping people out. But the tricky part was that the judge also made a separate $700 purge bond that had to be paid to my ex-wife. It was for medical expenses for the kids. I explained to the judge, I'm like, look, they have no new medical expenses since we were in court here in April. I've been paying all their counseling fees and everything, my portion of everything. Didn't care. So the way he wrote this part of the purge bond, my mom had to, or whoever paid my ex-wife, I obviously couldn't have done it because I was incarcerated, but they had to get a receipt from her. So she don't talk to none of my family, right? So my mom sends a notary over there to her work with the payment and trying to get a certified, signature so it'd be all legit. Well, my ex is like, goes in the back room. She's like talking to her friends or whatever at work. And she comes out. And she's like, oh, I don't have my ID. It's in my other purse. So the lady, she's like, basically comes back and I don't know, I'm thinking here. I got to be, I guess, a little careful how I say everything. But basically, my mom went back to the court and she's talking to the clerk there and expressing, her frustration with like, how the hell are we supposed to do this? He's about to lose his job in here. And so they ended up figuring it out where if she go to the post office and get certified mail of a payment that way, they could bring the documentation back to the court and they could release me. So I was in jail for like 36 hours. But, I got some push-ups in, some pistol squats, talked to some regular people, quite a few people going in there for child support. I'm sure a lot of them probably deserve it, but so anyways, man, I came out, but like anything, man, you try and look for the positive and shit. Luckily, of all the times that happened, man, we had a $100 million bid going in. on the day that I missed. You know, mom had to call my employer. You know what I'm saying? I'm 44 years old. My mom's calling. I gave her my number from my collect call that I got there. And, they understood, man. You know, so I'm fortunate for that I've made a good show since I've been there. My job's in good standing. But it really kind of, I just got to take my trading so much more seriously, man. I know we talked about this before with the back testing and all. And so I'm going to come back in to this next week with a fresh face, man, and a much more disciplined approach than I have been in the past, which had been my goal already. But yeah, man. So I'm alive. I'm feeling good, and just it's crazy, man. You know, that's what's up with me.
Wow. So little do we know. I mean, you can't say anything, but this recorded conversation can and will be used against you in a court of law.
That's a fact.
The fuck?
Yeah. So, you know, if anybody else dealing with stuff, I guess keep that in mind when you're on here with anyone in any space. You know, it's all right there. So, well, so I'm just taking the opportunity to, you know, I mentioned before, you know, I put a Father's Day post in there, and it, you know, somehow my daughters saw it when they weren't even 13. My oldest wasn't even 13 yet, and I was like, you know, what the hell are they doing on Twitter anyway? But so knowing now that they're seeing it, like when I posted those pictures in response to your post yesterday, I put a little comment under one of my photos because if my kids are seeing it, you know, maybe it's a way I can kind of communicate with them a little bit. And if their mom was going to be watching me, then, you know, they can see how I'm about to kill it out here and, you know, just handle it.
Wow, dude. I got goosebumps, man. I got goosebumps.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'll keep you updated. So what do you think, man? I saw ICT and you, you know, the post, the possibility of today happening like that. What do you think's the odds?
I mean, I really don't know. Commentary videos rendering should be up on YouTube in an hour. Subtitles take time for YouTube to create them, so it might be better for those who require them to wait until Sunday afternoon. Just started a space, boss. Didn't know.
Cool. Well, I'll be here checking out, man. I see there's another speaker tag out there.
Yeah, no, I'm just responding to him. Just letting them know that that we're here, we're hanging out, and CP wants to come hang out too.
Yeah.
Man, session liquidity, guys. If you aren't marking off on your charts, the Asian highs and Asian lows, the London highs, the London lows, the New York AM highs and lows, the New York lunch highs and lows, or the New York PM highs and lows, the way it's defined in the one trade setup for life with those times and timings, let me just tell you, you're doing it wrong. Because when you can slap a fib, and I like quarterly levels, guys. I'm a big fan of 25, 75, 50. And I mean, I also sprinkle in a little 33 and 66 in those quarterly levels. But boy, oh boy. And then if you could just understand, like, concepts within DR, like how does a DR range form? It's the high and the low, and then it's the highest open and the highest close. If you could take those sessions and create this kind of high time frame DR and apply DR logic and theory to it, boy, oh boy, looking at projecting price and when and how it reaches a range, you all of a sudden go from just this myriad of candles to very, very precise highs and lows. And session liquidity is a trade model in and of itself. Session liquidity as taught by ICT. If you're involved at all with DR or you understand some DR concepts, which are a thing, guys, they are. I'm here to tell you what's taught in DR and DR Academy is the truth. I just spent pretty much all morning with a DR Academy student, Twist, and he doesn't understand anything really ICT related. But I was giving him a few pointers or tips of how to apply advanced DR kind of theory and concepts to basic ICT. And most of you guys would want to apply basic DR concepts to your advanced understanding of ICT. If and when you could do that within market structure and session liquidity and time-based ranges, fractal-based ranges, and these fixed time cycles that happen every single day as taught by the mentor, boy, oh boy, this shit becomes pretty powerful, let me tell you. Not just over hindsight price action either, over real-time candles printing if-then statements. So I got a few of you folks that do know what I'm talking about. You guys have been learning with me, or you understand at least the basic concepts of what's on M7's page. But I mean, that's my boy right there. And he's just taken my level of understanding and brought a whole new clarity. And throw a speaker tag over to Captain Matt Mickey. Want to hear from Noam Boosie? I think were you in my DM saying that you were not available?
Hello, how are you, amigo?
What's up, bro?
Pretty good. ICT just replied to me. He said he come in 30 minutes.
Nice.
You saw?
No, I haven't seen, but
It will be
That's
pretty good.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Nice.
So today I
Let me
want
grab
to make-
something to eat. I will join y'all in 30 minutes. Nice.
Yes.
That gives us time to hang out a little bit, first and foremost.
Little preparation.
What's that?
Little preparation for ICT.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's grabbing probably a cup of coffee, getting on like a little bagel, getting some, some scrambled eggs, a little brekkie.
Yes, he loves
Can totally relate. I've been upset. I mean, I trade London, so I don't know about you. I live on the East Coast, and I've been a London-based trader my whole life. Being a dad, being someone that's worked full-time, another job, the only peace and solace I found for myself was, Jocko is a guy, Goggins is another guy, and you see these guys waking up super early and working out. And for me, I do some calisthenics to kind of get the blood flowing. Maybe I'd be staring at some charts, looking, specific cycles and shit. And, I get some push-ups and some pull-ups in, but I'd be up and on a chart. Sometimes it was as early as 2 o'clock kill zone because I like the London intraday protraction model or the delayed protraction model coming from Core Content Month
Amazing.
8. Episode 5, that is a model in and of itself. Episode 5 in Core Content Month 8. And that used to be my jam. Like I really liked that midnight to 2 o'clock move or that 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock move. But it was also difficult to wake up that early. But I found a sweet spot for myself at right around 4:30, and I found some cycles that align with the 4:30 to 6, the 6 to 7:30, the 7:30 to 9, and then the 9 to 10:30. So there are 4 90-minute cycles that I like to trade in within that 4:30 to 10:30 price personally. So those of you that have a full-time job, that have a consistent primary income, and you're in the student mode of your learning with trading, just trade an off session, that you're not working, that you don't have to be everything else you got to be. I had a job. I was an adult learner. I went to college, community college, and I had a baby. You know, at the time, she was a baby. Now she's a beautiful, 16-year-old girl. I'm getting ready to buy her a car, and she's got temps, and she's a young woman. And I love me some of my daughter, man. It's crazy. Only parents can understand that. But I got Jimmy here. He's a girl dad. He understands. I was thinking of him actually when I made that little video I made, because I know he can relate. I always thought when I heard that quote that it was always referencing like your wife, someone making you better. I didn't realize how much better a young woman, a daughter, could make a man. And it's pretty powerful, I'll tell you that from the heart.
Yeah, I'll go along with that, man. I tell you, when they start talking and they look around and they ask you things like, I had my daughter ask me one time, she was 4, looking at a tree. It's like, who made that? And it just blew my mind, man. I was like, why would she think of like somebody made it? Like, so of all these, like, I was always like into all these different, like, Buddhism, read the Bhagavad Gita and when I was in middle school, and had some Buddhist buddy. It took me to the temple. I was raised Catholic. So I dump all that shit out of my head, you know what I mean? And try and put, all right, what do I absolutely believe to tell this child? Because I don't want to confuse them, you know? It's a hard thing to do, man. But,
seeing the world through the eyes of a child is the most eye-opening thing a man, or I'd argue a woman, an adult, can go through. And young men and young women, hopefully you aspire to cross that milestone within your life, because it will change you from the core. Your spirit, your heart, your mindset, your mentality, everything. And those of you that are parents to young kids, I can tell you it only gets better. I mean, I know 16's not, it's not much. But mine, she's a young woman, man. She's a young woman. And it gets me in my feels, honestly, and not in a bad way. And I've been posting about her lately just because she's going to Friday night football games. And honestly, the time that's reserved for me, she even says it. She's like, I'm little Miss Social Butterfly. Like, she's going out with her friends and seeing, one friend from this school and another friend that she's got lifelong friends now, right? Some of her friends from 1st and 2nd grade, they're all in high school. They're all getting bigger, and they're all, playing different sports and doing different stuff. And she's in theater and whatnot. And, it's like, I got to go to my friend's soccer game, or I got to go watch, my friend's high school's football game or whatever. And I just can, and most of you can relate when you were kids, and just seeing it as a parent, it's just so wild to me. Anyway, I can reflect on being a dad all fucking day, but it's had me in my feels, and you're seeing it within some of my posts, because specifically these are times that the court deems as being custody for me. And these are me sacrificing that time for the priorities that she has that don't include me. So I get to look back at just her getting bigger and growing up. And we all have our why, and she's a really big part of mine. Living in an empty house, massive fucking yard next to a golf course that Tiger Woods won a PGA Tour in, paying an exorbitant amount of taxes in the best school district in all of Ohio, to have her not go to school in the school district, to be living in a, massive, her mom's super successful. Her stepdad is super successful. So I don't fuck with broke bitches, just saying. They don't fuck with me either. So, Her mom's extremely smart, extremely intelligent, very, very successful with her job and what she does. Dual degree woman, a degree in mechanical engineering, industrial engineering from another country. So her mom's super smart, meaning my daughter's super smart. Her mom's super successful. Her stepdad is super successful. I mean, so my daughter's got it all.
Hey, just a suggestion, Kit. With that dad time, your daughter, it looks like she's getting of dating age. Any woman of dating age, any woman at all, I'm saying if nothing else, man, they should have a strong guard game. If y'all just messing around, even watch a couple YouTube videos or find a friend that can show you, you get her a few thousand reps of armbar triangle.
She's she studied jujitsu, bro. I mean, she's before she was into theater and track, she's been doing jujitsu now for almost 2 years. So I've had her in women's self-defense, and I've had her do jujitsu in full anticipation of her being a beautiful young woman and having to deal with not just douchebag fucking dudes. And the statistics on kids this age, I read somewhere like there's a poll out there to where 40% of young boys feel validated in raping a young girl because they're horny, because they want to. I read that stat and it blew my mind because it's rape, right? And because I have a beautiful young daughter who just went to homecoming, who goes out to these parties, and she doesn't really go to after parties. She goes like pre-parties. But the mentality of these fucking kids these days is pretty fucking wild. Anyway, I digress. I'm really definitely in a dad mode and talking about some of my own feelings towards my daughter. So I digress. I don't mean to lecture to you guys. It's just, if you look at my page, it's very important to me. And being a parent, I think, helps define your why, and your why is going to help you as a trader. And it ultimately will help you with your own discipline and when not to trade.
I definitely, I'm George, by the way. Good meeting you. I just wanted to, I never really spoke on here before. I always listen. And when it comes to this fathering, I really like that you're speaking about that, because I feel like as men, we need to understand that a mother will do certain things. A mother can't turn a boy into a man, and a mother can't turn a woman into a woman. Men turn boys into men, and men turn girls into women. We instill chastity into women. The right man, obviously, if we're living correctly, if we're living righteous, we are going to instill that chastity into your daughter, into your young women, young ladies. I have a 16-year-old daughter who just turned 16 when she was on the 25th. So I definitely feel you on that, and I just want to say to all y'all, even if you've been away and you feel like you neglected your child a little bit because of life, it's never too late. I'm telling you that you have to get into your kids' lives. As men, we have to get into these kids' lives, because 9 times out of 10, 60% of kids that are raised by women only are emotional, can't control their emotions, and they end up in prison. I'm one of those statistics. I was raised by a woman, and I love my mom. She instilled a lot of confidence in me. She instilled a lot, but there's just things that she couldn't teach me that I had to go learn. And that's another thing, real quick, is we have to, as parents, we have to stay informed. Because when you don't stay informed, guess what's going to happen? Your kids are going to go outside of your household to get information. And we don't know what these people, just like you were saying, these people have a whole different agenda these days. We don't know what their intentions are with our children. So if you don't want your children doing certain things, you better stay informed. And 9 times out of 10, everybody here is obviously on a different level than the rest of the world, because we're trying to learn how to trade. We're trying to learn how to be free, or we are already trading wherever you are, in your journey. So you already
Bro,
have.
I want to quote and build off what you just said right there, 2 seconds, because it's the best quote I've heard, and it's from Mr. 930. He's listening right now. He's a girl dad, and he's my brother, man. I got so much love for him. But he said the 3 P's: protect, provide, and preside. And I mean, that put me in my feelings, man. Just those 3 words, if you can, I mean, the speaker tags to him. I know he's busy, but those 3 words: protect, provide, and preside. Preside is being present, right? Protecting and providing is what a man needs to do for, I mean, I'm a girl dad and I only have 1 kid, but it's equally important for a young boy. But I mean, I get in my feelings when Jimmy told me, he said that in the tweet, and I turned around and I didn't DM him. I texted him because I got his phone number. And I do like engaging with the charts and talking to the man and how he sees price. He's very talented. And he said that in a text message to me, and I welled up. I straight up, I got my feelings instantly, because there's never been 3 words that define the success of being a man as those 3 core tenets. So anyway, I can talk about it all day. Jad, please come in. We're kind of talking about parenting, the chapter they're in.
Yeah, no worries, man. Hello. Thank you so much for letting me speak. My name is Jad. This is my first time ever being on this podcast, so thanks a lot. But yeah, I would just like to add one thing to that, since we're talking about that now. I'm a 21-year-old, so I'm not a father. I'm still learning every day. But something that I've realized in the past 3 years is how important fatherhood is. I have a couple family members who didn't grow up with a father, and some friends who didn't grow up with a father. And what I realized is there's 2 routes that people can take. One of them is that they just kind of take it, which is the lower percentage. Let's say 20% of them would take that route of take the world on upon themselves, and they have the pressure of I need to help my mom, I need to help my sister, I need to do this, right? Then there's that 80% who absolutely get lost. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but they just become so soft, so this. They don't know real world. They don't know real problems. They believe anything. They have no direction of where they're going. And it just shows how a man truly add on to, I think, what I think his Futures, Jay Futures, who said that the father is the one who turns a boy into a man. And that's so real. I've been blessed. I have a father who's from the beginning, who always pushes me. And to be honest, at the same time, sometimes I get mad at him because he almost in a way, not always, but almost in a way, is never satisfied. I come with an accomplishment, he's you can do better. Yes, sometimes of course it gets a little much, but it's made me who I am today. It's made me who I always want more and more and more, and I never feel satisfied with my results. So it just shows how important that fatherhood is, to make you a man, make you someone who you want to reach for the highest goals, highest levels.
How is that drive to be better? How's that translated into you trading?
It's been good. I've struggled in trading. So I started trading around 2 years ago. I found ICT. I found ICT 2 years and 6 months. It was before he went to public. Some random guy, man, in a chat told my friend about him, and he gave him the core content for free, right? And I ended up having it. ICT is not going to like that. I ended up having it. I studied
bro,
it.
I bought some core content illegally, and it was like a drug deal, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It was you want some ICT?
Yeah, you want some ICT, yeah. But but the thing is, man, it didn't help much, the core content, because without those ICT spaces, without those lives, the long lives, it doesn't work. you need to have a whole perspective. And that's what I realized. Like, what changed my trading, what changed everything was those ICT spaces. And some people, like, you know, ICT says it all the time. Some people don't appreciate that too much. Like, they're like, oh, stop talking, get to the point. Like, no, like that's not how it works. You need to go deep and deep and deep into the psychological part of it, how you think of the markets. That's what changes the concept. Like, that's what makes the concept insane of how he talks about them. It's those little details, little thoughts in your head.
That's so well said. I mean, the ghost in the machine.
Exactly.
I think is analogous in his voice, in his traders, the global body of traders. They are the machine. He is the ghost. But I mean, that's also our own voice for ourselves, right? Like that conscious voice that we're unconscious
so
voice
real. That saying
right?
is so real, man. The ghost in the machine. Like, you'll be sitting on the charts and then you actually hear his voice in your head, like telling you, look at this, like, oh, look, it just took up this. Like, it's crazy.
It really is.
That's definitely lost on people, man. Like, I saw this little YouTube thing this kid did, and I ain't gonna say his name because I don't want to give him no views, but you know, I was watching him before. The kid was doing like a pretty honest kind of take on different things, and he's new to trading, posting his trading journey and all this shit. And he come out with this thing with all the same old shit everybody talked about, ICT. And for real, what I've learned from the man, and just like my man was saying right here, the psychology stuff alone, man, the spaces, it's like there's so much value in that. I put a comment on the dude's video, like, if you put as much time, he said he spent 3 months researching to do this video and shit. And I was like, if you put as much time listening to his concepts, you'd probably be pulling money out of the market instead of checking this video every 5 minutes to see how many views you got, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%, man, 100%. But yeah, I'm still on my journey. I wasn't consistent. Like, I started doing some little withdrawals here and there, like around a year and a half, and then I was like, I'm doing something
Hey, that's
wrong.
a huge milestone, man. And I wish more people would just really focus on getting on sides with their trade and being disciplined enough to risk as little as possible just to reach a payout. Like the whole, what I think is beautiful about the quote unquote Cameron model is he can't trade big. There's no motherfucker coming in here with 10 contracts balls deep on some 30-second chart. And
No,
I promise you,
100%.
I promise you that's not a lot of folks.
No.
Because the D-Gen comes out, and I know what that looks like. Trust me, I'm the fucking mayor of that town. I've been there. I still go there. I got that voice on my shoulder.
Yes,
He's like, and for me, I joke around. I call it going balls deep, right? Like,
yeah.
The D-Gen for me is like I'm going big or going home. And that's fine on a funded account with simulated funds. You can't do that in real life. Like, you can't do that in real life. So,
no, yeah.
Anyway, point is being disciplined enough to trade very minimally within size and utilizing a milestone as being a payout, right? Like, you've really passed freshman year, your very first year in trading. You've passed the test when you've successfully been able to pull money, some money, doesn't matter. You can't progress to another level until you've successfully reached a payout. Can't do it. If you've never taken a payout, you are not allowed to risk more than one contract. And we shouldn't even be saying the word mini. You should be trading micros.
100%. Yeah. I remember this was around 4 months ago where I ended up losing the account again, or 3 months ago. And then that voice in the head where it was like, you never did the 3 months on just the charts, the live data, and then 3 months demo. I never did that. I was always trying to get to live money right away. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's why I can't get consistent. So then I was like, because I have 2 years experience behind me, I don't need 6 months, maybe I need 3 months. So in the past 3 months, I did a month and a half of just on the charts without demo, and then a month and a half with demo. And what I did is I went and watched One Model for Life, that video again. I was like, no, I'm missing something. And
that is arguably the one of the best, in
Man,
my personal opinion.
I watched it again and it was like, how did I not hear this stuff? Like, it was so simple. I overcomplicated it so much, but it was just like the experience behind it. That's why, and I'm sure in a month or so, I'm going to come back and rewatch it again because that video is crazy, but you don't get the fruits until you truly have experience behind it. Like if you don't have that much knowledge, you come here with like 5 to 10 months of trading with ICT and you go watch that video, you're not gonna understand everything he's saying. But then go watch it again, and like after you have 2 years of experience, it's like you're rewatching it new.
I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give you guys some game right now. Take a quarterly fib. Put it on the high and low of some session liquidity. I don't give a fuck what it is.
When you say quarterly fib, you mean 25, 50, 75,
25,
right?
50, and 75 is a quarterly fib. Yes, sir, with your 0 and your 100. Take that and drag it across the x-axis. So it could be your New York lunch high and low. Now, my boy Stoic, he's got 70 and 30, and he's looking at it based on 70 and 30. I'm at 75 and 25, so we're in the same ballpark. Right? For me, the entire market moves in 4 standard deviations, 4. So the quarterly fib is going to fractalize that. The entire market always does. There's mechanisms and ways in which that works, in which you could be reducing from that 4 standard based on structure, how it's formed, right? But that doesn't matter. Point is, ICT kill zones and pivot points by TFO. TFO is a real one. That's one of my favorite indicators for the one setup for life. The labels there, the way you can customize it, the way you can turn things on and off, the way just everything about it is amazing. And those session liquidities, those time-based levels that are taught, I mean, you guys don't probably understand a lot of DR, but the rationale and the logic work very similar, identical, because we're talking algorithmic principles. But point is, the game, the sauce that I want to give you guys is take the session liquidity. Maybe it's a New York PM. Maybe it's the New York lunch. Maybe it's even a New York AM, high and low. Take a quarterly fib, drag it across your chart. Take Mondays, drag it all the way to Wednesday. Take Tuesdays, drag it all the way to Thursday. Maybe even Friday. Who knows? Price is going to do what price does. But look and see how it reacts to those levels. ICT teaches very clearly, how do you confirm bearish order flow from a high time frame? What does he tell you? He tells you to put a quarterly fib on the wick of a high time frame. And if price respects the 25%, and I'll tell you it's the 25 at most, it's going to wick to a 33%. But if and when price respects that higher time frame wick, then you can anticipate bearish order flow. So the narrative works very similar within session liquidity, because session liquidity is a higher time frame, practically. It's very, very, very specific candles that are printing. And a myriad of all of them, some of them are based on time. And that liquidity is going to get taken at some point within a future global session. So dragging the high and the low, finding equilibrium, is going to become relevant. And more importantly, your if-then statements are built on bullish or bearish order flow, respecting the 66 and 70, 75, and or the 33 and the 25. Or simply said, the 25 and the 75, the quarterly fibs. So when I say I like the 66 and the 33 with the 25 and the 75, it sounds a lot like my boy Stoic, who likes the 70 and the 30. Really close, actually, how that all works within market structure, how price prints. Anyway, I'm definitely caffeinated. I'm definitely excited. We're coming up on when I would anticipate the boss man showing up. So if you've got something to add to the conversation, we're talking being a parent, We're talking about trading, trying to drop some sauce, keep it saucy up in here for your trade and trade idea within advanced market structure and institutional order flow. How to anticipate that through if-then statements. Mentorship episode 12. BDE coming from ICT. Mentorship 23, February 11th. BDE coming from ICT. Go ahead, Pippi. Jump in here, Angelo. Pippi,
Hi
do
there.
I hear some mechanic work happening at the moment?
I was-
Yeah, of course you do. You know you do. It's Saturday.
Morning, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. You know how it goes. It's Saturday.
Zoom, zoom.
Kit, sorry, I was taking notes about whatever you said just now. But
Yes,
for
the
my
session liquidity, the highs
Yeah.
and lows, and the projecting them on the x-axis time into future days of the week to see where and how price respects these specific quarterly levels from previous days' session liquidity. Yes.
Yeah, no, for my, English, if you sometimes speak slower, it's better because for people that doesn't speak English as first language, sometimes we get lost when you go too fast. So basically, just to recap, when I take the session liquidity, let's say New York AM, New York PM, or whatever is the session, I just anchor the fib to the high and the low of the session, and I consider the quarterly division of the fib. Then I didn't understand what do you mean by the previous day. You talked about Wednesday and Thursday.
No, what I'm saying is you want to drag it, right? You want to drag it from the early part of the week into the latter parts of the week to see where or how it respects
Oh,
those
okay, okay.
levels. Because price will come back to take session liquidity. It
Right.
will. Guaranteed. The one trade setup for life as it is defined. A New York AM session at times could do a London raid.
Right. So if let's say price react to a previous level of a previous day, let's say going, find resistance, that means that level is the bearish order flow because the order flow is bearish. It touched, the point of resistance and the price is going back, right? So after taking liquidity.
So what I'm saying is, for example, the concept that ICT has taught, I believe it's in Core Content Month 9. Okay? Core Content Month 9 starts at episode 1. Intraday daily levels, I believe, is the title. You want to look at, for example, a daily time frames wick.
Right.
And you
Okay.
want to see if price is going to reach for the consequent encroachment, which I heard Jimmy say, and I have to agree with him, and I had a student say it as well, and I have to agree with them. If you wanted to trade off nothing but the CEs of 90-minute candles, you can make a fortune in this market.
Right. So let's put, on the chart, for instance, so I can understand better.
Well,
I'm
we're not
looking-
on a chart. We're having a discussion, so don't take it too technical, buddy, okay? We're not on a chart. I will
was trying to
do
learn.
some form of weekly review. I will provide a model with my weekly review, and I think my weekly review tomorrow that I'll probably do on YouTube and also on Twitter, I might just take the CEs of 90-minute cycles. You're only going to trade off the 50% mark off of the wick of a 90-minute cycle.
Excited to see that.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that might be a model that we'll do tomorrow. Because I had someone ask me about some 90-minute cycles. You don't care so much about 90-minute cycles, although they do matter. You definitely care about 90-minute imbalances and inefficiencies and liquidity levels that happen on a 90-minute price range, which is nothing more than a fractal based on a 90-minute, right?
Right.
So the x-axis will give you the cycle, but then the y-axis will give you the range. So we're really talking about
ranges, not just cycles. And I mean, obviously, 90 minutes is 50% of 3 hours. And the market moves in 3 and 4 hour increments, I think, very easily. Whether they do or they do not, you can formulate and plan trade ideas based off of the expansion, contraction, the consolidation, or the reversal of one of these high time frame candles.
Right.
So again, Angelo, we won't nerd out too much on the chart today. I am going to sprinkle a little bit of alpha, knowing that we've got ICT. Oh, he's here. Here he is. Here he is. Bringing him in to co-host. See if he wants to co-host with me to hang out, or if he just wants to be a speaker, or what. But there he is. Let's see if he just wants to listen to. We're talking trading. We're talking parenting. Was the beginning of the conversation, and being a father, and protect, provide, and preside, and boss, Mr. ICT, Mr. Michael Huddleston, thank you for being here and taking the co-host tag. How are you today, sir?
Morning, brother. How are you?
I couldn't sleep last night. I was so excited, bro. I'm just keeping it real.
I don't know why. I mean, we spent almost 4.5 hours talking in a discussion that unfortunately was plagued.
I love it, bro. I love it. I love engaging and talking with you and just being one of your students on Front Street. Love it. I mean, your wife, we only stopped talking because your wife was texting you, right? Like, she's like, are you coming to dinner or not, right? So anyway, did you get any brekkie? Did you get some coffee? Are you a coffee drinker?
I do not drink coffee.
I didn't think you did. Do you like eggs for brekkie?
Yeah,
bagel?
I ate eggs. I had eggs this morning, actually.
Nice.
Egg whites, actually.
Nice. So the early part of the conversation, just to say it succinctly, and a few of my posts just in the theme there, because we have jumped into some trading, right? But we were talking about parenting, and I wanted to ask you specifically how Cody's doing. I'd like to start the conversation with maybe you giving us a how he's doing, a follow-up, in a little bit more in depth of because I say that to say protect, provide, and preside that was kind of the theme. Girl dads understanding, kind of, being a parent, how that changes your why as a trader.
Well, it's been over a month now that he's been out of what would be considered life-threatening. And as his dad, obviously, I know him better than most people would. If you were to sit down and talk to him, you probably wouldn't notice anything different about him, but I can tell that there's something still not right there. And it's a miracle he's still here. Obviously, I'm very thankful for that. But there's just something I can't put I was literally talking to my other son, Caleb, last night about this because he came by and visited. And he asked how Cody was as well. And I said he had visited a few days ago. And I don't know how to put my finger on exactly what it is that's different, but he's not totally himself. So they kind of warned us and told us it could be like that for months and not to draw any kind of special attention to it because you don't want to alarm him or make him think about anything to stress about. But he had a lot of irritable swings in his moods for the first couple of weeks. That seems to have smoothed out, but it just doesn't seem like himself. It's not like he's not slower. It's not that he can't recall certain things, but as a dad, your kid, and I just don't think he's quite there yet. And I'm hoping that he gets a full return back to his personality and his normal everyday life, the way he functions. He goes to work again. He's fine in that regard. But I just know that there's something just a little bit off. And my wife said the same thing, but she doesn't want to say more about it because there's power in the tongue, and we don't want to give it any more energy than I've already said here. But apart from that, he's improved greatly. He's back to working, and he and his fiance are planning on getting married. So that's a good thing.
Wow, that's a huge milestone. So in a lot of ways, this has been kind of, obviously, have you noticed a level of maturity just as a dad, talking about our kids and going through a traumatic event, right? Is his worldview really changed? Does he value or appreciate the things that he has differently that you notice?
I'm greatly appreciative of where he is now mentally about everything. Because when he was younger, I was the typical dad that wanted to have his kids grow up, believe in the Bible and go to church, and this is what you should behave like, and this is what you should abstain from, and I was really aggressive about it when I first started living it. And looking back, that's not the right way of doing it, but you feel like it is. And he kind of resisted it a lot. And then in his earlier teens, he just basically said, I'm not believing it, and it caused a little bit of a rift between us, where he lived a lifestyle that was not something that I would agree with or support. But I let him do what he had to do to discover it's wrong. And I tried to tell him not to buy the motorcycle, because I made the mistake of buying one too and messed myself all up. He didn't listen, and he kept taking risks. And I told him, I said, you can only do that so many times before eventually it happens, and you can't call it back. And you could either get checked out and your ticket punched, or get something that would be debilitating for the rest of your life and regret. And it's probably worse. And he was riding without a helmet, having his dogs chase him. And that was like their daily exercise. And they had just got home from having dinner at a restaurant. And he took off down the road, going about 40 miles an hour. And his stepbrother was walking his dog at the end of the road. And he ran out in front of the motorcycle. And to keep from running him over, he panic braked all front brakes and went over the handlebars. No helmet. And when he landed at the back of his head, which is the same injury that everybody gets when they get killed from the one punch knockout, the pieces of shit that do that and like to record it. When they fall and they hit the back of their head, they die from that injury most of the time. And he had literally a quarter of an inch separating him in that same fate. He was telling me prior to the accident that he was never going to not ride a motorcycle, and he wanted to get a faster one. And I was like, I can't stop him. He's an adult. But long story short, now he doesn't want the bike. He doesn't want to restore it. He never wants to get on it again. And he's appreciative that God spared him. He has a different perspective on his life and how he feels like he's been kept here, given another chance. Those were things I prayed for. And I literally said, Lord, if you have to put him through something to get his attention, do what you got to do, because as his dad, I can't reach him anymore. And now, mindset wise, and how he wants to walk forward, he wants to be more responsible. He wants to be here for his fiance, and they're talking about having kids eventually. And you can't do that if you're not here, and you can't do that effectively if you take risks with your life. So he's no longer interested in trying to be a motorcycle operator anymore. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, I think on behalf of the community, I think we're very thankful that he's on this road to recovery. So, lot of thoughts and energy going out to you and yours. And I know he's been a thought on a lot of folks' mind, and it's been brought up to me. And having you here, I'm glad that we're able to, talk about it a little bit. So I understand how it's still heavy, and probably tough to kind of relive or talk about. I can only imagine as a father. So we don't have to harp on it by any means, but I think we wanted to just kind of address it a little bit, if that's cool.
Yeah.
And we did. So with that, I'm looking at a tweet that, is there something you wanted to talk about specifically, or is there a topic that you would like to introduce to the room?
No, when we did our interview, I mean, we went for like 4 hours, 4.5 hours, something like that.
4.5, almost 5 hours from my notes.
Yeah. And we had issues with where on my end, because I was recording it, the video would hang up and it would glitch. And I had another interview that I did, and I wish it wouldn't have been like that as well. But the bandwidth caused a problem for Zoom, and your internet connection was coming through in like breaks. So I didn't want to put that up there, and I told you we could do it again. But I don't think I want to do the video. I think this is actually a better medium. It's a little bit more, I'm more comfortable in this setting.
Me too, bro.
I like the idea of just being able to speak like out into the ether and not have someone staring back at me and me staring at them. I'm a very introverted person, and you may not think that's possible because how I go off on the Twitter spaces, but I am very introverted. And if you ever met me in public, I would be very reserved and quiet, and I wouldn't be like I am usually on a Twitter space. Like now I'm talking to you, I wouldn't be this comfortable talking with you in front, face to face. It wouldn't be like that. I'd have to get to know you a little bit and be around you a little while, and then maybe slowly work out of that shell. But I saw you mention, or not saw you mention, but I heard you mention the last spaces you were hosting, and you're asking if it was all right for you to upload what you had. And I was like, there were some things that we talked about that I didn't want. Yeah, it's the same thing with Corbs.
Right.
Corbs
No,
asked
for
a lot
sure.
of questions.
I didn't record anything, by the way. I had one screenshot picture, just one, and I was on an iPad. And out of respect to you, I would never do that. I took notes fervently afterwards, just because it was so important to me. But yeah, I don't have any documentation or record of our conversation outside of my notes, just for the record.
If you did, I mean, I just felt it would be a little bit more organic to sit down and kind of like have a discussion. Because I love the fact that you've built this community. And while I haven't been in every single one of them since the inception of it, and when I first discovered it, there was a few times I wasn't able to make it because of personal, schedules and things that wouldn't permit me to do it. But when it's available to me to be able to sit and listen to it, I do. I may be doing work around the house or doing things, that require my hands-on stuff, but I'm listening to it in the background. And just to be able to hear, how everybody comes forward, and not necessarily the folks that use what I teach and what I've contributed. It's not just that. I love the fact that there is an acceptance of everyone that is a trader, because I'm vilified many times, and I've done this to myself, and it's part of how I marketed to myself. But I wanted to be abrasive, so that way people would talk about it, and then when they came to investigate what it is I was teaching, they would either be converted or do what I believe is impossible, prove what I'm teaching isn't the market. And they have not been successful in the latter, but I've converted a lot of people to see things a little bit differently. And they don't have to like me. It's not about worshiping me. But I feel that the way this industry is going, I tend to be the poster child for the chaos side of it. And my community many times gets the brunt end of what's wrong with the trading community, and I don't want that. And when I came out and started teaching for free, I kind of wanted to remove that stigma that was there, and it's still a useful thing for people that want to market their own stuff. they'll say, yeah, ICT or ICT's community, bunch of cult members, and they're fanatics, whatnot, and they think everything else can't make money. I am aware that other people make money. I have friends, longtime friends, that literally use things that have nothing to do with anything mathematical or charts. They just go with their gut and say, this is what I think is going to happen. And because they do really well in money management, they make profits, but it's not a lot. They still work their job, but they can pay for their little toys every now and then, a couple of times a year with what they've earned. Now, does that make them unprofitable? No, of course not. They made money. And I'm not going to criticize them. They don't ask me my opinion of what it is they do. They just think, you probably look at what I do and think it's nuts. And I just smile and yeah, I'm not going to say anything, but yeah, I wouldn't do it that way. But your community, and I don't know if it's been like this from the beginning or if it's something that's evolved over time, but you're very inclusive. And I absolutely love that. And I think that that is what makes this trading industry something that's helpful to other people, even if you don't subscribe to the same view or approach to trading. For someone like yourself to help cultivate that and kind of like be the tip of the spear to kind of like say, hey, look, this is what we can be doing, instead of saying, you don't do well as a trader, or you're a fraud, or you can't do this and your stats are less than this one, or this one does it better than that. That really doesn't do anything for anybody's bottom line. And it's a wonderful drama. It creates a lot of distraction from doing the things that matter most, which is improving your own edge and developing who you are as a trader. And for folks that are easily distracted with that kind of stuff and spend most of their time with it, to me, that just indicates that your head's really not in the game. And I love listening to the like-mindedness that everyone has here, because they share a genuine concern about progress collectively, not just their individual progress, and they care for other people when they share openly, which is another thing I love. When your community members come forward and they talk about the things that they're going through as a hardship, I can resonate with that because I've been through everything, and I didn't have this type of thing. Like I've never drank alcohol. I never had a substance abuse problem. I don't take medications. I don't take medicine at all. And if I was a substance abuser, I obviously would go to things like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. Those type of support things, I would be using that, because I'm a firm believer of being in a community where you can see other people are going through what you're going through, and it's normal. Because when you go through pain, you go through struggles with anything, it tends to create this depression, and it grips you and it makes you feel like this is only happening to you and nobody could understand. And in trading, this is such a difficult thing to overcome, because you're competing with yourself while in a state of ignorance. You can't see beyond what you already know about yourself and what you have a limited understanding about the markets. And that experience is growing very, very slowly in the beginning. So you're constantly feeding yourself reasons to not even try it. And you feel like what you're thinking or doubting or fearful of is only happening to you because you're the failure. And when your community members step forward and they talk about, hey, this is what I'm going through right now. And it's nice to hear other people encourage them, and also hear that this is what they did to get through it. That to me is empowering. I love that. And many times I got emotional listening to some of the folks that have been emotional and have their hearts on their sleeves. That's tapping into the reality of what it is like to be a human doing something so extremely difficult, where it's a thankless endeavor in the beginning. No one's going to support you doing this. In the beginning, everyone's going to give you every reason why you shouldn't do it. They're going to try to talk you out of it. You're going to try to talk yourself out of it. And it's going to be very, very hard to stay with it. And if you can find a community like what you have going here, man, it is such an oasis, because I absolutely would have loved to had the access to something like this, where other people were literally there talking and going through what it is that they have to mow over, and the loss and the feeling of, can I get past this? What am I going to have to focus on to get through this? And asking other people's perspectives on, how did you deal with this? Am I foolish in thinking that this would be a solution or an approach to get past it. What did you do? And is this wrong, or is this a better way of doing it? That to me is amazing. That's better than any kind of book out there, because it's allowing people with real experiences and real issues that you may not have encountered yet, or encountering right now, but you're too afraid to talk about it. You're too afraid to deal with it. You try to hide, turn your face like it's not really there. And that's a problem. You have to just deal with it. You have to meet it head on and don't be afraid of it. And if you fail while trying, that's progress. That's literally progress, because you're going to look back and say, okay, I tried it this way. That didn't work. I tried it that way. That didn't work. Okay, I'm at my wit's end, but I'm not giving up. Let me ask someone else. I want to ask my peers in a like-minded environment where everybody in your community, they're not attacking each other. They're not saying, oh, well, you don't trade our way. Oh, you don't do this. You don't do that. For instance, that guy, I don't know his name. I don't even think he has a name. The other guy that you learn under.
M7. M7.
Yeah. You know, there for a while, you know, his community and my community, they were trying to get some spat going, whatnot. You know, everybody's got a team mentality. Everybody has a team mentality. Everybody gets their alma mater, you know, behind them, and they want to raise their banner and their flag and all that business. And I'm of the opinion that, listen, if the students have an issue with someone else's methodology and the methodology is making the other group money, they have no argument. There's no argument there. This community, I've never heard anyone in this community say, or at least the ones I've listened to, where they have not been very cordial to one another. And to me, that I have a great deal of respect for that. Because number one, that's not selling drama for the sake of selling your brand. It's reassuring that if they have the results using that methodology or any other methodology, they're blooming where they're planted. They don't need to do or do what I do or what I teach. They could give two shits, really. They don't care, because they found something that fits them. And that's all I try to do. I try to cultivate that mindset. Well, whatever it is that you do, you know, you might use just one idea that I have introduced as a school of thought. That doesn't mean I mentored you. That doesn't mean you got to go around and tell everybody I was mentored by ICT and you got to carry me around like a celebrity. I don't want that. In this community, while it, you know, your name for the Twitter handle has my name in it, and it's about ICT concepts. It's not predominantly ICT concepts, which that's the direction I want to see. Like, I want to see a departure from me, and I want to see what other people do with the information and how it makes them a better human, a better trader, and not have to always reflect back to me. And you've created an environment where you're allowing that. You're not like a fanboy, which I get it, because when I was younger at 20 years old, I would have went nuts to meet Larry Williams. Like, I would have went crazy just to meet that guy, because I elevated him up to some unrealistic plateau that no man should be placed to. And I'm the least of which anybody should do that. I'm a terrible teacher. I don't control my tongue well. I'm not a good advocate for Christ because I can't control my tongue, and it's things I struggle with. So there's a lot of things I can check off as a checklist of where my frailties are. So I should not be championed around like most people like to do with me. And I love the fact that you conduct this community in a manner, and I'm glad you're very respectful, because for folks that don't know, I've asked in the interview that Kit and I had where we talked for a while, I said, listen, I love sitting in and listening. I just don't have another account where I can go in and listen and other people not know I'm there. I don't do sock puppet accounts. I don't do those types of things. But I wish there was a way for me to have had to sit in and never be recognized in there, because I want the people that come forward and talk and be part of your community to pretend I'm not even there. Don't make it about me. Just talk about what it is that you brought yourself there to talk about. And if you want to say something to me, I'm on Twitter, and you can say hi to me. I'll like your post. I'll say something back if I feel like I have to do it. But that setting, that's the part that makes it uncomfortable for me. Like, I don't want to be like that. And you've been very respectful in regards to trying to steer the community members to not do that, because I'm not here to hear people talk about me. And I want people to hear it from me in your community that I love it when you don't talk about me and you just talk about your experience. I'm genuinely interested, much as like I said when you were talking to me in the Zoom live. I have a genuine, sincere interest in other people's experiences. That's what I want. I want to spend the rest of my life after November watching and observing and looking at seeing what everybody else is doing. I have a genuine interest in it. It's a sincere interest that I don't have to monetize. I don't have to have my name brought up about it. I just want to see what everyone does with it, because I'll be blessed by that by default. I don't need to have someone, parading around and advertising me. And I think you've done an amazing job of managing your community in that regard, and still making an allowance and an inviting atmosphere for other people with different approaches to trading, where they can feel like, sometimes they'll open up and say, well, I don't trade with what you guys use, but this is what I do, but I like the community. That's exactly what you've done. You've created that atmosphere where normally someone might not go to a live streamers or a podcast event or venue, because they're very team oriented. They're this and only this. That kind of causes someone to feel standoffish and say, well, if I go out there, they're probably going to try to pin me down and ask me why I don't want to subscribe to their view and what makes their methodology better. And that just creates an argument that no one can win, because no one would convince me that what I use isn't better than everything else, when I know personally that I think that there's nothing else better than this. But when people hear me say that, and they're either learning or they're using something that's profitable for them, they tap into that team mentality. They want to go back to college football. Well, my team's going to kick your team's ass in the playoffs, or I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's your NASCAR driver. It's your whatever the hell it is, your MMA fighter. It's this team mentality. I can't stand that. I literally cannot stand it. And I try to smash that with everything I say. And even when I talk about myself, I don't want any of that stuff in my community. And I think that you've done a more effective way of managing it and allowing for an immersion experience where no one can feel alienated. I mean, I love when you put your foot down and people are in here fucking off. You hear them talking about, I've done this and I've done that. I never lose a trade. I think it was a couple spaces ago. I almost pissed myself. The guy's like, I do this and I do this and I haven't ever a losing trade. And you're like, okay, hold on. What you're telling me is you never win. I'm sorry, you never lose and you always win. Get the fuck out of here. That's what you do. That's exactly, you got to broom that bullshit. But everything else, you're very, very good at managing the atmosphere for everyone else to feel comfortable. So if you want to come on and you want to talk bullshit, good, call it what it is, broom it, get rid of it. But you've allowed for people to have a ulterior perspective or alternative perspective and not feel, at least from my observation, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Nothing was cringy about it, where another style or approach to trading that the members would come forward in the community, or maybe it was their first visit. And they always thanked you that you've allowed for this medium in this community for people to come together and meet. And I think that you should be recognized for that, because what you're doing, this community in the industry itself needs more of this type of stuff. And you conduct yourself very, very well. And you've done a very effective job of allowing for the open invitation for people to come forward. And I think more people should be here.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for those flowers, Michael. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement, the recognition. And I want you to know, and I want anybody and everyone that's listening, a lot of this is, I'm 45, I turned 46 in a few weeks, right? And a lot of this very similar to things that you've said throughout your episodic life's work that you've pushed out there when I was 20, or if I could, if I could go back in time, I really do look at the 20-year-old who's listening and those things, those lessons that I think are extremely impactful and powerful. Number one is respect, right? I mean, listening to what someone wants to their request. I think respect amongst men is primordial, and not just men amongst traders. But then also, Michael, I want to turn and I want people to understand what I believe your life's work is this self-improvement manual above and beyond trading, and wherein even how you utilize numbers and timestamps, and whether your intuition is flaring or you're doing it mindfully, or the terminology of a market structure shift and a change in character, and where and how the guide to a person's individual improvement of self, going from that introspective, that intrapersonal dialogue within themselves, to where and how they interpersonally can reflect and deal with others and or the market itself. I think it's a masterclass on self-improvement. And I think there's so many more deeper levels, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in which you've touched on over the years, time and time again, that why so many folks are able to listen to you. And a lot of folks might not have that father figure. A lot of folks might not have that mentor in a space that needs it. You've done a master class in providing a way in which a young man or woman can really take on these challenges within life and be able to apply becoming a professional decision maker. Not just on the charts, in life. And I just want to tell you, as a student of yours for as long as I've been a student of yours, maybe it's from an older man's perspective, but this community is forged in your work. And I believe strongly the advanced concepts of ICT are the core tenets of which this community have been found on. And you've heard me say it, and I say it again. It's this mastermind principle. We're stronger together than we are alone. That we can accomplish more together than we can together in a year than we could individually in a lifetime. That we rise by lifting others. You've asked this question repeatedly. If you had the gift, you've referred to it to me personally as the increase. What do you do with it? And for me, that's to trumpet as loud as fucking humanly possible ways in which to help other people. We rise by lifting others, which I think is a Rand Ingersoll quote. But these to me are core tenets within your life work that as an older, maybe more mature father and trader, I've been able to conceptualize and articulate. And we have based everything within this community based off of what I believe are the core tenets that you've provided us as a student body. So I appreciate all the flowers, but I still turn it and say very gratefully, with a lot of respect, thank you. And on behalf of the student body, bro, none of us would be here without your insights and your clarity and what you've been able to provide this global community. I mean, you're teaching third world folks, kids, how to have hope. Man, if that doesn't deserve respect, I don't know what does, bro.
Yeah, it's very overwhelming when, like, I wish I could have more time to be able to reply to everybody that sends things to me. Like I feel like I'm cheating them from the opportunity that they just want to have a moment to thank me. I see all of the notations. I see every comment. I see every thing that I open. But there's so many emails that I get every single day. Like it's at a pace and quantity that I can't. If I did it 18 hours a day, nonstop, no breaks, I wouldn't even scratch the surface of the correspondence I get. And that's why I reply in blanket statements a lot, because a lot of it's the same thing. They just want to say thank you. And the way you thank me is turn your life around with it and then bless somebody else with it. That's how you do it. That's the currency here. I want to see other people be impacted on a positive with what you do with it. What you do with this, how do you bless somebody else with it? You know, and I didn't have that mindset when I first started. You know, I talked about this when we were having the interview, and I said it many times in the past as well. I was initially just wanting to get out of the rat race and not have to work the rest of my life. And then when I see how fast the market can pay out, it changed me. It turned me into a very greedy, self-centered person, which is what money can do to anyone. And you think it might not happen to you. And that's just how I felt about it. But I turned into a very arrogant prick. Now, you think I'm arrogant now, but I am nothing compared to what I was when I was in my 20s. And it was disgusting, very offensive. And I wouldn't be able to tolerate myself today. Some of you probably can't tolerate me now. It was very,